Bureau of Statistics of China. I would like to extend a warm welcome and heartfelt gratitude to all the experts and the colleagues for joining us. The Department of Household Survey is a major department of the NBS of China, responsible for conducting household survey. As an important component of official statistics, the household survey is a main data source reflecting people's well-being, poverty reduction, income distribution, and also it provides important data support for the monitoring of the SDGs. The household survey in China can date back to 1954. After continuous improvement and development, today it is consistent with international standards in methodologies and with rich survey contents, timely data and a stable interviewer team. The regular collection and release of data on people's income, consumption, poverty income, distribution, and living conditions can play an important role in Chinese government policy development and effectiveness evaluation. In the next hour, my colleagues will provide a detailed introduction focus on the general information and the main methods of household survey in China, including the survey contents, sampling method, data collection, organization and implementation, data release and application, challenges and future steps. I look forward to your keen insights and engaging discussions. I also hope this seminar will surely achieve fruitful results, which will help deepen and expand our exchanges and cooperations and contribute to the development of household survey around the world. Last but not least, I wish this seminar a full success. Thank you all. Now, let's invite Mr. Lian Jiajia to give a presentation.
Good morning and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lian Jiajia from the Department of Household Service of the NBS of China. I'm very glad to give a brief introduction to the household service in China. For a better introduction, my colleagues also attend the lecture. They are Mr. Jiajia, Mr. Ding Shou, Mr. Wang Ran from different divisions in my department who are responsible for the sampling, data processing, and the analysis of household surveys. Also, my colleagues from Department of International Cooperation, Ms. Hu Fengfei, is present to help us in translation. There will be 5 parts in my presentation. Excuse me, is there any problem in the screen sharing?
Yeah, it's dark. We can see you're sharing, trying to share something, but we don't see anything on the screen. 就看不到那个，能看到你在分享，但是是黑的，黑屏现在。
Okay, please wait for a moment. I'll try again. 分享不上去。昨天没问题。把 PPT
刚才也没问题。要不你就是重新再分享一下，就是停下来，然后再重新分享一下就可以，就不是停下来，就是share and share again。
好。
呀，如果你就是佳佳，你可以把那个 PPT 发给我，这样的话，如果那边有问题，我们这边也可以帮你 run slide。
Is that okay? Does it work?
Yeah. Yeah.
See the PPT now?
No, I don't see it. Can you share? Maybe you share the.
I can see the
你把那个
PPT another vehicle. 如果您看现在能看到吗？不行的话，我迅速联系同事给您发一下 email。
对对对，你让同事发给我，现在看不到黑屏。
我这边可以看到了，您那边还是看不到是不是？
没有没有。
How you do? You have the PowerPoint?
I don't. I asked, but hasn't been shared. So they're gonna share with me now. I'll share from our side.
Once you have it, it's better to share. Yeah.
Yeah. You can see the PowerPoint? How come I don't see it? Do you see it? Panya,
No,
do you
it
see
doesn't.
it?
So it doesn't show up. It's just a blank screen.
Someone
it's better.
Someone can see. Maybe I need to.
Can other people see it?
No, some can see, some cannot.
I can see the presentation.
That's so weird. Sorry.
That's strange.
Some cannot see.
I can see it. I can see as well.
What? Oh, so let me log. People, if you cannot see, I think we need to log out and log in again, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Panya and Howie,
Yeah.
I just left the meeting and rejoined. I can see the screen, so maybe we can just go ahead.
OK，佳佳你就继续吧。我那个有些人可以看到，有的人看不到，这样子就是说，您就继续 PPT，然后我们看不到的就是 log out，再重新 log in 就可以了，就别管我们了。你那边接着就是继续讲就好了。
Okay. There will be 5 parts in my presentation. The first part is an overview of the history, objectives, and components of the household service system in China. As shown in the table, ever since the first household survey on farmers' livelihood conducted in 1954, the household survey program has been implemented by NBS for nearly 17 years. It collects information on people's family structure, welfare, employment, education, and living conditions. It provides essential socio-economic and demographic information for the process monitoring and policy making of the national strategies such as poverty reduction and well-off society building. It will also play an important role in the monitoring of common prosperity in the future. Now, my department is in charge of 5 household survey programs of a multi-themed service system. The survey on household income, expenditure, and living conditions, which is IELCS for short, is mainly aimed to make inference on the average income and expenditure of both the whole nation and by urban and rural areas. In addition, monitoring survey on rural households in poverty relief counties, which is RHPCS for short, is to produce estimates on disposable income, consumption expenditure, and living conditions of rural households in certain areas. This survey program has been conducted for more than 25 years, ever since 1997, reflecting the changes of poverty relief counties and providing essential information for decision-making on poverty reduction. The monitoring survey on rural migrant workers, which is RMWS for short, and monitoring survey on the citizenization of rural migrant workers, which is CRMWS for short, to collect information on the number of migrant workers and their monthly income, living conditions, and access to basic public services in cities. So we get information from both where they come and where they work. Lastly, survey on the fixed aside investment of rural households, which is FAIS for short, is a complementary survey focused on the statistics of fixed asset investment for rural households. Among them, The major program is IELCS, with the largest sample size of 160,000 households. In order to build a cost-efficient system, the other 4 survey programs shared samples with IELCS as many as possible. Samples are also selected from areas where the subject population was concentrated but not covered by IELCS sample. The sample size for RHPCS is about 50,000 households. The sample size for LMWS and CRMWS are 19,000 households and 14,000 households, respectively. The sample size for FAS is 90,000 households. As for the data release cycle, the IELCS, RHPCS, RMWS produce the estimates for main indicators quarterly and more indicators annually, where the CRMWS and the FAIS produce estimates annually. Before 2013, income for rural residents was produced through Rural Household Survey, which is RHS for short, while the income for urban residents was produced from Urban Household Survey, which is UHS for short. Experts in household survey field from NBS did a series of research on the reconciliation of concepts and definitions of income and expenditure indicators, and also did a series of research on population coverage from RHS and UHS. And then we established integrated household survey with unified concepts, unified sampling method, unified data processing technique, and unified data release mode. As for the income and expenditure concepts, disposable income and main income categories are developed mainly based on 2011 Household Income Statistics Canberra Handbook. There are 4 components in the disposable income, including income from wages and salaries, net business income, net property income, and net transfer income. Consumption expenditure and the main categories are designed mainly based on COINCOP standard. The consumption can be divided into 8 categories, which are expenditure on food, clothing and footwear, housing, household equipment, furnishing and services, transportation and communications, education, culture and recreation, healthcare and medical services, and also other goods and services. As for the sampling method, the data processing procedure and the data release mode, I will give more information later. NBS plays a leading role in the household survey and has established a survey team directly subordinated to NBS at various administrative levels. The Department of Household Service of NBS is mainly responsible for designing the survey plan, organizing the implementation of the survey nationally, supervising the survey process, processing and summarizing the survey data, and releasing the national and provincial data. The provincial survey teams, which we called provincial survey offices of NBS, are responsible for organizing and implementing household surveys in their respective provinces. The municipal or county level survey teams directly subordinate to NBS are responsible for organizing and carrying out data collection, review, and report in their respective areas. Meanwhile, NBS has established a stable and professional interview teams. In each municipal or county level survey team, there are several full-time, strictly trained and skilled interviewers and one assistant interview per small enumeration area, who is responsible for guiding the respondents to keep diary. The second part will be focused on the sample designs and the selection method of household survey. As we said before, the IELCS is the major program whose samples are shared by other survey programs. In this part, we mainly focus on the sample selection of IELCS. The survey subjects are the households in the People's Republic of China, including households in both urban and rural areas, both families and collective households, such as a factory dormitory. Regardless of the nature of the household registration and the place of registration, all Chinese citizens are to be covered in the survey by household units at their principal residence. Nevertheless, people who live in institutions such as hospitals, welfare institutions, nursing homes, student dormitories, barracks, prisons, and households with all family members foreign are excluded from the sampling frame. The sampling frames come from three resources. The sampling frame information for survey areas is from the list of enumeration areas from census, and also data of statistical zoning codes and urban rural codes. The sampling frame for households is from pre-investigation in selected enumeration areas. The sampling frames not only include information on statistical zoning codes, address, name, urban rural codes, number of permanent residents, but also provide information on housing, education, employment, ownership of cars, proportion of non-local population, which could be used for stratification and evaluation. The sample size by province are allocated according to a number of factors, including the population size, the variations of household income and expenditure. Manpower and budget constraints are also considered. The survey samples are selected with a stratified multi-stage random sampling method. In each province, based on the population census data, all the county level units are divided into two strata. The first stratum consists of all the districts. The two-stage sample selection is conducted in that stratum. The first stage is to select a number of sample areas from all of the enumeration areas within each district using PPS method. And the second stage is to select the sample household within each selected ES using systematic random method. The second stratum consists of all the counties and the county level units. The three-stage sample selection is conducted in that stratum. The first stage is to select a number of sample counties as PSU and then a number of sampled areas and sampled households as SSU and TSU respectively. A number of indicators highly related to household income level, such as education, housing conditions, and urban-rural status, are used during the ranking of enumeration areas to improve the sampling efficiency. Within each stratum, the EAs are divided into different strata according to the urban-rural attributes and then ranked by several indicators highly related to socio-economical level acquired from the population census. In each sampled enumeration area, the interviewer firstly draw a brief map of the sample area based on the map from the population census, and then does a pre-investigation on all the buildings, compile a list of dwellings and individual of the households in the selected area to build the sampling frame for household selection. Based on the updated sampling frame, the interviewer selects a number of households to carry on the main survey. In the sample rotation conducted in 2022, nearly 2,000 survey counties and 160,000 survey households were selected from 31 provinces across the country. In order to prevent the aging of the sampled survey area is rotated every 5 years, and the sampled households are rotated regularly. Above is a brief introduction to the sampling method. Now we move to the data collection method. The raw data of IELCS are derived from household diary keeping and the face-to-face visits to sampled households by the interviewers. The sampled households are asked to keep an itemized record of the daily income and expenditure, both in cash and in hand, including information on salaries, bonus, benefits, allowances, sale of agricultural products, purchase of commodities and services, self-production and self-consumption, and so on. The quantity, unit, and amount of all income and expenditure items should be recorded separately one by one. The diary books are collected monthly. Data on demographic information such as household members' education, employment, and residency status are collected through quarterly face-to-face visits, and data on housing and durable consumer goods ownership, community infrastructure, and basic public services are collected through several annual questionnaires. NBS carries out various measures to get the support from respondents, improve the survey efficiency, and raise the response rate. Firstly, we develop a unified electronic data collection platform to reduce diary keeping workload. More than 80% of the sampled households can report their personal or household income and expenditure information using various electronic devices such as mobile phones, tablets, and desktop computers. With the electronic platform, the data collection process has become paperless and more convenient. The survey efficiency has been improved, and the privacy of households has been better protected. Therefore, the response, especially from the young people and people living in a fast-paced life, has been improved significantly. When the COVID-19 pandemic was severe, the electronic collection also ensured the normal operation of household service in China. Meanwhile, with the application of digital data collection, supporting management programs have also been improved. For example, an assistant interviewer management program has been developed and designed, which includes modules such as accounting overview, results check, notification distribution, and online interaction, and so on. It is very convenient for the assistant interviewer to know the accounting progress of the surveyed households and to communicate with the surveyed households in a timely manner. For another example, we have an online test system to quickly assess the effectiveness of business training. The relevant management modules will be further improved. Secondly, conduct publicity campaign of household survey to gain public understanding and support through multiple channels. For example, send letters to the survey households and assistant interviews with a signature of the Commissioner Kang. Here is the letter. The letter tells about the history of household survey and the use of survey data and express acknowledgements to the households and assistant interviewers. We also made survey promotional videos featuring celebrities as promoters, such as the Olympic champion Ren Ziwei. We also put up promotional posters and publish interesting articles about how to keep accounting diary on the web chat official account to improve the public's understanding of household service and win support and cooperation. Especially in the year of large sample rotation, more efforts in publicity will be made for promotion. As for data management and processing, a special household survey platform has been developed to cover the whole process of survey plan design, sample selection and rotation, data collection, data processing, data management, system management, in order to facilitate survey management, monitor the process of data collection, and conduct unified check and processing of data. The basic structure of the data processing system is shown in the picture. There are about 8 modules to cover the main survey process. Various measures have been taken to strengthen the quality control all through the process of survey design, implementation, and data collection, processing, and report. Prior to the survey implementation, it is essential to develop the survey plan in a scientific and rigorous way. First of all, the survey plan is designed and adjusted based on the user need, practical experience from fieldwork, and advanced international survey methods, so as to make the sample distribution more extensive, indicator designing more reasonable, and questionnaire easier to understand. For example, in order to obtain accurate estimates on household income and expenditure information, the interviewer does not directly ask about the disposable income and consumption expense of households. Instead, detailed data on employment information, wages and benefits, financial assets, production and operation activities are collected and converted into standardized data with unified codes, and then aggregated to get the estimate for income with data processing program. Secondly, strict procedures are designed to make sure the sampling process is scientific and auxiliary information from population census and pre-investigation is used to improve the sampling efficiency and reduce the sampling error. Thirdly, it is important that the field survey is uniformly organized and implemented by professional survey teams. The survey teams from various regions get strict training before they organize households to keep daily accounts in line with the unified instructions and confidentiality requirements. The interviews of each survey team also receive professional training and have rich experiences through many years field work. They have a better understanding of the general conditions of sampled households, which helps to dispel the households' doubts and encourage them to truthfully report their income and expenditure information. The interviewers will also conduct follow-up visits and questionnaire surveys on the sampled households to strengthen the communication. During and after the survey, It is important to enhance the data verification and process management. In order to ensure the accuracy of the data, survey teams in various regions are asked to use unified methods and data processing procedures to check, input, code the raw data, and report data directly to NBS. During the data collection and processing process, 3 types of data checks are executed: the hot check, monthly check, and quarterly centralized check. In the data collection app, based on the distribution of historical data, a certain hot check prompt value is set for the collected accounts. When the surveyed household enters data that exceed the prompt value, the system will automatically remind the surveyed household to confirm the accuracy of the data. After the data is reported to the survey platform, the staff will conduct preliminary reviews monthly based on the unified review program, taking into account the indicator value ranges, logical relationships between data, and so on. And quarterly, centralized checks will be conducted based on the aggregate data. Quality checks after the survey are conducted in 2 ways. Every quarter, 6,000 surveyed households are randomly selected from IELCS samples nationwide for follow-up phone calls to verify the information on important income and expenditure data. Meanwhile, re-interview teams with better trained and more experienced staff conduct on-site inspection of the local work and data quality across the country every year, strengthening supervision and quality control of the survey process. In addition, the representativeness of survey sample is evaluated based on the updated auxiliary data. Okay, let's move to the data release mode. The main outcomes of a household survey are estimates for income, expenditure, and living conditions. National and provincial data on income and expenditure and the overall number of migrant workers and monthly income are released directly by NBS on a quarterly basis. Data on housing, durable consumer goods, food consumption, community infrastructure, income distribution are released on an annual basis. Quarterly data are released through press conferences and the official website. In addition to the above channels, the annual data are also published in the following year through the annual statistical bulletin, China Statistical Yearbook, and Yearbook of Household Survey. We also provide public consultation to meet additional public needs. Here are some examples of the main outcomes, such as the growth rate of disposable income and expenditure composition. Last but not the least, let us talk about the changes we are facing now and what we plan to do in the near future. The main challenges are as follows. One is the increasing demand for data. Government's precise decision-making requires more detailed data from household surveys. Not only does it require data related to income levels and growth rates, but also data reflecting income distribution and common prosperity. Secondly, people's awareness of privacy protection has increased, and the degree of cooperation cooperation in investigations has decreased. The difficulty of conducting surveys on high-income households is prominent, and the difficulty of conducting face-to-face interviews is increasing. Thirdly, the rise of big data survey technology has challenged traditional survey methods. And in the near future, the priorities will be as follows. The first area is to enrich the survey content and specific indicators in order to meet additional and emerging needs from government decision-making, such as establishing a statistical monitoring system for common prosperity. The second area is to improve data collection methods to reduce workload and gain more support from the respondents. For example, combine diary keeping and questionnaire interview to improve response from high-income households. Promote electronic data collection to improve the survey efficiency in remote areas. Build more efficient data collection and processing system through application of new technologies to do auto-coding in the data processing system so as to reduce the workload of the field staff. Make the diary keeping more convenient for respondents by introducing voice and picture recognition and providing better services on the apps for the respondents to have a look on their income and expenditure information. We will also improve the management program to strengthen online training and data quality control. The third area is to exploit the application of administrative records such as tax data and medical insurance data in the household survey for evaluating and calibrating survey data. We will try our best to facilitate cooperation with other government ministries to find an appropriate way to combine the administrative records with traditional household survey data so as to reduce data collection workload and get auxiliary information for calibration. Above is a brief introduction to household survey in China. Thank you for your attention. Please feel free to ask any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jiajia, for your very comprehensive presentation. And thank you also, Mrs. Shell, for your opening remark. And thank you to all the participants for joining us and for your active questions in the chat. And now I'm going to open up the floor. I have allowed participants to turn on your microphone and your camera. I will give priority to those who want to ask your questions live. So if you have any questions for our speakers, please raise your hands and I'll call on you. Adnan, please go ahead.
For a valuable presentation, and thank you for your efforts. I have a few questions regarding your survey. The first one, I'm asking about the definition that you used in for household or family. Have you used the definition for household or the family when you collect the household members? The second question is regarding the COICOP. You have mentioned that the consumption is collected for 8 main groups, but I think COICOP last time it was 12 main groups and now updated for 13 groups. The third question about the sample fraction. I see that your sample is not regarding the China's census, the China's people is very small, I think. And I want to know the sample fraction. The final questions regarding the data collections. Have you tried to use admin data in your data collections? Admin data. like the income from government entity, like labor force, something like that. And thank you again.
Oh, okay, thank you very much for your questions. Please wait a little moment for me to prepare. The first question is about the definition of the household survey. We collect information for households, and we also collect information for household members. The basic survey unit is household, but we also collect information for all the household members, such as the education status, the age, sex, and the residence status of the household members in our survey.
Can I comment on your answer?
Oh, okay.
Regarding the household, for household income and expenditure survey, there are two definitions. One definition for a regular family, husband and his wife and their children. And the extended family, which we called household, it is based on if his father lives with him and his brothers and any other just eating together. Yani you can find more than one family in the household and their income are shared and their expenditure are shared. Yani, and you can't calculate the expenditure for each member alone or for each family alone. So we can just collect the data for the whole household.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay, thank you very much for your comments. As for the definition of households in our survey, I think it's people who live in dwellings and share their income and expenditures. So the households maybe a family with wife and children, and maybe a family with the brothers and sisters. It depends on whether they shared their income and expenditure and whether they lived in the same dwelling. Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions about the first question?
No, thank you.
Comments? Okay.
Thank you. Second.
And for the second question, it's about the consumption expenditure. As we design the consumption expenditure based on the COINCOP standard, but we do some adjustments based on the experiences in China to better meet the needs of government decision making. And for the third question, it's about the use of administrative data.
It's about the sample fraction.
Excuse me.
The third question was about the sample fraction. The sample size.
The sample size.
Yeah.
Okay. The sample size of the ISWGHS survey is a question. Sample size. The sample size is about 160,000 households for IELCS, and we have different sample size for different survey programs.
So the sample fraction. If you divide the sample size on the whole population, yes.
Yeah, the sample size for the household survey on income, expenditure, and living conditions is 116,000 households. And let's move to the fourth question. The first question is about the use of the administrative data. Is that okay? As for the use of administrative data, I think it is important to combine the household survey data and the administrative data in the future. If we can get high quality administrative records, we can use it to improve the estimation for certain subgroups. Now, in NBS, we are conducting exploratory research on the application of administrative data. And the main difficulties currently encountered focus on the data accessibility, the timeliness and consistency of indicator. The definitions of indicators from administrative records usually are different from the statistical survey indicators. Detailed research, comparison, and judgment need to be done before the reconciliation of the survey data and the administrative data. At the same time, some administrative record data involves individual privacy, and there are still some challenges in ensuring data security. We are making lots of efforts to facilitate cooperation with other government ministries to find an appropriate way to combine the administrative records with the traditional household survey data. Yeah, that's our progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Adnan, for your questions, and thank you, Jiajia, for your answer. I know that we're running a little bit over time, but since we started 15 minutes late, we will try to kind of also go over time a little bit. I invite as many of you as possible to stay, but if you have to leave, of course, we understand. I'm going to take a couple of other questions from the floor. I asked you to ask one question because we have a lot of interest. So if each person can stick to one question, that would be much appreciated. Let me take two, and then we will pass to you, Jiajia. Can I ask Alessi Panvera to ask your question?
Yes, thank you for giving me the floor, and thank you for this interesting presentation. I work for UIS in Montreal, and I'm interested to know if you, in your household survey on income expenditure and living conditions, have questions about education, maybe in the demographic information that you collect, because I'm calculating different SDG indicators, and unfortunately I do not have information for China. So I'm really interested to know if there is information on this survey, on this household survey, and if yes, are these data accessible? So how can I get access to data, and even better to your microdata? What are the steps to follow for that? Thank you very much. I'm trying to to leave the floor to the others. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me take one more question before I pass it to you, Jiajia, for your answers. So Nina Bilgi.
Can you hear me? Good evening.
Yes, we hear you well.
Yeah, I'm from India. I'm very much interested to know the profile of the responders. I mean, specifically the percentage of men and women responders, because and the other one is, apart from income and expenditure, what are the other parameters for prosperity?
Thank you, Mina. Okay, Jiajia, please take these two sets of questions.
Okay. Let me answer the first question, which is about the information on education and the access to macro data. In the household survey, in the survey on household income, expenditure, and living conditions, we collect information on education, the household members' education. Yes, we do have the information, and you can find some information on our yearbook, and also for the macro data. Now, NBS of China has established a macro data laboratory, which is currently in the trial operation stage. So you can get more information from the official website. As for the second question, the parameters about prosperity. Actually, we are exploring to establishing the statistical monitoring system for common prosperity. And now we just collect information on income, expenditure, and living conditions such as housing and production and operation activities. We are still do research on the establishing of the statistical system about common prosperity. And the response by sex in the survey. I'm sorry, I do not have the data by hand.
Gender.
Gender.
Yes.
Yes. I can consult my colleagues later. Sorry.
Thank you, Jiajia. Let me take one last question from the floor, and then I will also read a question from the chat. Let me take a question from Tashi.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so although the moderator wanted us to ask just one question, but I have just brief two questions in brief. So first question is in the exclusion, you mentioned that the barracks are excluded, but I was wondering, like, how do you tackle with those family members living with the military personnel in the barrack? So that is one. The second question is for the quarterly survey, do you repeatedly select some households for the subsequent quarters? So those are my two questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And to add to that, I just want to also bring up a question from the floor. And the question is, the size of the data is a lot. You have a lot of data that are collected. So the questioner asked, just curious, what tools do you use to clean and centralize all this data from the perspective of China's population size? So back to you, Jiajia, with those few questions.
Okay. As for the first question, and all citizens in People's Republic of China are surveyed in their households, which is the permanent, which is the dwellings they usually residents. And for the second question, is about the quarterly survey. Yes. Yes. We survey on the same household quarterly. Okay, the survey tools, as we can see in my PowerPoint, there is a platform called e-survey, and the interviewers can use smartphone or other mobile vehicles to do on-site interview, to do face-to-face visits with the households quarterly. As I mentioned before, there is a stable and professional survey team in every sampled counties. So we can do the household survey on a quarterly basis. The manpower is very important. Yeah. And for different quarter, for one sample rotation cycle, we survey the same households. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have
excuse me? Can I come back? Can I come back?
Okay, quickly, Tashi.
Yeah. I'm not very clear with the barrack. When the presenter said, like, barrack has been excluded from the survey, from the sampling. Because there are people living with the military personnel in the barrack. So yeah, how do you tackle with those people? So I'm not very clear with the answer that was answered earlier. Because we have the same issue now in my country. We are not able to get into the, we used to enter into military barrack before, but now with the changes, we are not able to get into military barrack to interview the family members of the military personnel. So yeah, so that's what, like, I'm asking this question.
Okay, thanks, Tashi. Jiajia, could you clarify?
Yes, in China, we can do survey on the family members of people who is in military. Yes, if they have a resident dwelling, we can do household survey on them. So it's not a problem for us.
I suppose the question is, what if they live with their, if they live in the barracks? Right, Tashi? Like if the family member and the household members live in the barracks.
Yes.
How do you count them?
Yes, it's not in the sampling frame.
Then it's not.
If the settlers live in the barracks, they are not in the sampling frame.
No, for instance, the primary PSU selected is a military, the cantonment area, and they will have family members living with the military people. So how do you tackle this? PSU selected will have a military area, so let's say barrack, and they have family members living with them. So how do you tackle with this?
在这个确认口普查里边，就是军队在役的都有专门的人去统计，我们不在我们的就是抽样框里。
Yeah, they have separate statistics, so they are not covered in our household survey. Sorry, I cannot provide more information because I have no more information about this group.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tashi, just in the interest of time, yeah, perhaps we leave that for another time. I think we have run out of time. Unfortunately, I see that we still have a lot of interest and a lot of hands up to ask more questions. But to be respectful of everyone's time, since we started late and now we finishing late, I want to end it here. But before I go, of course, I want to say a big thank you again to our speakers from the National Bureau of Statistics of China. Thank you for taking the time. I know that it's very late in Beijing right now, so thanks for staying to kind of run us through this presentation. And just one last thing, can I request everyone in this meeting to just turn on their camera, unmute yourself, and just give our speakers a big round of applause, if you can. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you at the next Global Network webinar. Have a good day.
Yeah, see you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.